Welcome back, True Seeker. Want to say RIP to Richard Roundtree, the actor portrayed as Shaft. We're going to talk about his death, reported at age 81. Very significant number at this moment in history, in the time of the man who got a record 81 million votes and said, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. Also, as we go live about this, the breaking news in the U.S., there is now a Speaker of the House, the Republicans' fourth choice for Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who represents the 4th District in Louisiana. He has been named Speaker, and we'll talk more about that. But he's going to be the 56th Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. Big number of this nation's history. 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence. If you're new to this channel, we talk about gematria, the simple practice of coding numbers into words, goes back to Babylon, and it's very much alive and well with the operations and rituals of our federal government and Hollywood and entertainment. And back in the news today, NBA season getting underway. Eddie Irizarry back in the news. We're going to talk more about this story. And for the people of Acapulco, they're saying it was bad news with Hurricane Otis making landfall as a Category 5. Not getting a whole lot of news attention, I suppose, because it's Mexico. But they're saying it's been very devastating for that place. So waiting for more information to come out, but we'll talk about what's so interesting about Otis hitting Acapulco as a Category 5. And on this day, we'll also hit some other headlines like New Jersey's 119th being deployed to the Middle East, the Queen of Jordan getting headlines, and a couple more 33s. And of course, yes, we will do TFR tonight. Missed it last week. But we'll be back for TFR tonight. That's on GematriaEffectNews 25. Again, if you're not subscribed to GematriaEffectNews 25, that's where we do TFR at every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. But let's start right here. Richard Roundtree, the Shaft actor, dead at age 81. Gematria. Again, if you're new here, look up this word gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. The metal band Slipknot has a song called Gematria, the killing name. And there's also a song by The Police called Murder by Numbers, which came out in 1983. It's about how killing's the sport of the elected. It's as simple as A, B, C is 1, 2, 3. In a moment, we'll get into The Police Murder by Numbers song yet again, and where it once again fits with this police-related killing story of a darker complected man. Eddie Irizarry, 83 like murder, like the year the song came out. And again, if you're new here, these ciphers are all very elementary. There's 4 base ciphers. Notice on the screen how you can see the 4 base ciphers and the numerical values for the words. And you can see that shaft and race, these 2 words, have the exact same numerical value in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. Shaft, when you take the alphabetic order, A is 1 up to Z is 26, so S would be the 19th letter, H would be the 8th, A would be the 1st, F would be the 6th, T would be the 20th. You add it up, shaft equals 54. The next cipher where shaft is 18, you just take the alphabetic order with numerology. So S, the 19th letter, numerology is making every number into a single digit number. So 19 becomes 1 plus 9 is 10, 10 becomes 1 plus 0 is 1. Very simple math. Breaking the number down to a single digit. Then you add up the words to get a smaller value. So shaft is 18. If you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Z is 1 back to A is 26. Shaft is 81. Shaft is dead at age 81, or Richard Roundtree, who portrayed the original Shaft, is dead at 81. And then when you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, shaft equals 27. And as you can see on the screen, shaft, race, those 2 words, shaft and race, they have the exact same 18 value, the exact same 81 value, the exact 27 value. And, you know, the Shaft character obviously had a lot to do with race. And the thing I think about with him dying at age 81 right before Joe Biden's 81st birthday is, again, Joe Biden said, if you're black and you didn't vote for me, you ain't black. And they said Joe Biden got a record 81 million votes, of course, riding on the coattails of Obama, the nation's first black president. And if you go back a few years, you'll see Obama endorsed 81 candidates on August 1st. You search that headline, Obama endorses 81 candidates August 1st. Again, that was a big headline that day. And it was all in the build-up to Biden supposedly getting a record 81 million votes. If you write out President Biden in Gematria, it also equals 81. And remember, he's from Scranton, Pennsylvania. That's where he was born, home of The Office. And it's on Interstate 81, that town. But 81, big ritual number. And from Richard Roundtree's death to Biden's November 20th birthday, that's a span of 27 days. It's a span of 27 days from the death to Biden's 81st birthday. Notice how ritual has that gematria of 27, like shaft, like race. And again, if you're new here, I can just imagine, like my sister, she just can't stand to listen to any of this. She just thinks everything's a coincidence. All the people who don't get it are the same people who do not listen at all and see how redundant the patterns are, and that you can see that this world stage, from the Oval Office to Hollywood. And again, Hollywood's given us the story, or not Hollywood, but the mainstream media has given us the stories about how several Hollywood actors and presidents, they're all related through bloodlines that go back to royalty in Europe. Again, rites and rituals, patterns, knowledge that's only known to certain people. Again, the cabal, that terminology for the secret political faction. It comes from Kabbalah, Kabbalah's Book of Formation. It says on the opening page, God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. Again, you have powerful people playing God by a numerical code, and it's full of ritualistic death and perfect patterns over and over. So, again, is it possible it's a coincidence that Shaft, the actor who portrayed him, died at 81, and, it's 27 days from Biden's 81st birthday? I mean, it's possible it's a coincidence. It's just, the thing is, we're showing how this stuff's going on all the time and how much ritual sacrifice has already been connected to Biden, who's, in the highest position in the land. If you're new here, other familiar patterns. He died 107 days after his birthday. The phrase ritual sacrifice is 107. See that a lot. Shaft, the show debuted on July 2nd in history. Maybe I forgot to put the screenshot in here. Let me see. Shaft TV show debut date. Let me see if I can pull it back up. Well, this is October 9th. Or was it the film that's July 2nd? Hold on, I was going through all the release dates. Well, this date is October 9th. I might have crossed my dates, but October 9th is the day leaving 83 days left in the year, the 23rd prime. Here we are in 2023. It says the show ran from October 9th, 73 through February 19th, 74. I think I crossed the show with the movie. Hold on. Or I might just have it all the way wrong with the dates. Apologies. I don't normally do that, but I think I made a mistake here. Anyhow, what's not a mistake is his passing at 81 and him being dead 107 days from his birthday. And the film was nominated in 72. That was the year Biden became senator-elect. And remember, in 72, Biden lost his wife and daughter right after becoming senator-elect in a car crash. And then when Joe Biden was 72 years old, he lost Joe Biden Jr., known as Beau Biden, at age 46. And President Biden forwards is 72, in reverse, President Biden's 81. And what's funny is President Trump is the same thing, 72, 81. 72, big number with the Jesuit order. and both men, Jesuit educated. And again, Biden's from Scranton, which is home to one of the nation's 27 Jesuit universities. Let me pull up the calculator real quick, because we're actually going to end up talking about these number patterns in the next story with Irizarry, and that's because if you're new here, you'll see how a lot of the same numbers manifest over and over for certain reasons. But the name Shaft, Gematria 54, Richard Roundtree's his name, Richard Roundtree. The actor's name has gematria of 251, which is the 54th prime number. And it's also 181, which is the 42nd prime number. And of course, 42, big number throughout history with race that we talk about all the time. Slavery, Tuskegee, the N-word, February, Martin, Malcolm X, so on and so forth. Jackie, of course, Jackie's a big 42. And, but yeah, his name is correct for the character Shaft. And in light of so much focus on race, again, there's a group of people in this nation who've been warned about for a long time that like to instigate things politically and racially. And, again, they do it through entertainment and programming and just getting information in your mind, and it's like building up a stack of dominoes just to tip them over. But yeah, the ritualism of it all. So, I have to go back and see what I was writing down with July 2nd. Okay, with regards to Eddie Irizarry, gematria of 83, like murder. Again, if you've never heard the song, take a minute to look it up. Came out in 1983. It's by the band The Police, and the song is Murder by Numbers. And again, this number 83 connected to so many suspicious deaths. It's been used in rituals like this several times before. And the point we're trying to teach about is the code being used to instigate what we call news, which is meant to trigger emotions and feelings, and sometimes get us to act out like we've seen in recent years when they kept everybody indoors for the COVID lockdowns. They gave everybody a reason to go out and act out and burn the city down a few months in with the whole George Floyd thing. And again, if you weren't here for that, there's I got a book about it, I'll put it that way. Number Games, big chapter on what they did with George Floyd to provoke by this code. And anyhow, today leaves 67 days left in the year, right? Police officer equals 67. And some people see stories like this as positives. Like they're looking at this and it's making them happy because they're going, you know what? Back in the day, hardly any officers ever got charged with murder and then brought in and put in cuffs. So this is progress. Officers are being held accountable. It's good to see this kind of process in society. And then you look at this case, it'll be shown on TV, and you'll see the judge is a black woman, and you'll think, that's the progress right there. We are moving forwards. I mean, a black woman's a judge. A officer's being prosecuted. He's being charged with murder. And some people are celebrating these victories, right? In their own life, they're not really seeing anything improve. But then they look at this on TV, and they're like, well, at least, maybe voting Democrat all those years, we're seeing some progress. It's going to get better. Because there's people who look at the world this way. Like that's the best thing going for him, that this officer's getting charged when 40, 50 years ago it wouldn't have happened. And again, what these people need to realize is, well, actually, the reason you're so down on life and on anti-anxiety medicine and antidepressants and just got all these feelings you don't want to have, and this gives you a little bit of a release, is because you've let this screen your whole life just have way too big of an impact on you. It's done way too much of your thinking for you, controlled what was in your mind, and it's made you believe in this system, in this world that's presented a certain way, and what has it really done? I mean, again, so many people have all these ideas in their head that are only there because of the screen. COVID, right? COVID was a great example. So many people were just living terrified in such fear that they could die any day. They just couldn't wait for that jab to come out and to put on 2 masks and now 3 masks. They just wanted to feel so safe at this deadly moment. And then other of us were like, Have you not woken up to the game that the news is just fear and, scaring you into agendas and then selling stuff? And I mean, it was the worst you'd ever seen in the time of COVID. It was fear, fear, fear. And then this segment sponsored by Pfizer, this segment sponsored by Johnson & Johnson, this segment sponsored by Moderna. And again, through all of this, we've been showing the way how the programming comes by the same old code with the same old topics. I mean, what's the first word in this story about Eddie Irizarry? Murder and other charges reinstated against Philadelphia officer who shot Eddie Irizarry. But yeah, on the day leaving 67 days left in the year, that's today. From the killing August 14th to today, October 25th, is 72 days later. Remember how I was just talking about 72 with the Shaft nomination in 72 and the year Biden became senator-elect and his family died, and then when he was 72, his son died at age 46, handful of years before he became number 46 in the election, exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, as we've talked about so many times. Catholics 46, and we were talking about that way before the election happened and why it looked like it was rigged for Joe Biden. The only other Catholic president in the nation's history was JFK, who was killed at age 46. JFK was number 35, killed at age 46, the first Catholic. Catholic equals 35 forwards, 46 in reverse. Joe Biden, the second Catholic, number 46, inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age, after being elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. I got to come back to Mike Johnson, too, after the Eddie Irizarry, but 72, again, just big time number. Jesuit order has that gematria of 72 and 54. And remember, Shaft 54, Richard Roundtree 251, the 54th prime. This Eddie Irizarry story, the officer was first charged on September 8th, which is the 251st day of the year. First charge September 8th, then all charges dropped on September 26th, and now on October 25th, charges reinstated. But, again, the 54th day of the year, and now 72 days after the killing, it's back, and the judge in this, her name is Ransom. It's the way they phrase her title in the article is State Judge Lillian Harris. So I thought, to say State Judge, not just Judge or some of the other titles they put on them. I was like, I wonder whether they go with State Judge Lillian Ransom in the article, but just Ransom too. It's like, what are the odds of these names? This nation's being held for ransom. Go to work and shut up or else. State Judge Lillian Ransom, 144, like Jesuit order. If you're new here, another big number that we talk about all the time. The United States of America, 144. President Biden got that 144 in it, and 72, and 81, all like we talked about. And remember, Jesuit Georgetown simulated that Biden would win the election June 12, 2020, and Trump would refuse to step down 144 days before the election. And in the case of this story, with regards to the Jesuits, it's not just the numbers. Again, it's the dates. It's the same numbers over and over, but it's the dates. When this officer got into trouble and this police department, became the focus of the nation's attention with the Eddie Irizarry killing, they said the killing was August 14th, and then on August 15th, the police had a whole new story for what had happened from the day before. So in 24 hours, the story completely changed, which was a big red flag, which is what drew the attention. August 15th is the Jesuit order's birthday. Date we just keep talking about over and over. Afghanistan's government falling in the big Jesuit ritual. Trump's brother dropping dead. Trump also Jesuit educated, went to Fordham. But there's a lot to this story, and I'll come back to it. But just to kind of dip into each story just a little bit lightly before we go deeper, because for some people, going deeper is just too much. Hurricane Otis, big story today, wrecking Acapulco, at least from what they're telling us in the headlines. I'd like to hear from people in Acapulco. Of course, they have the Anarchapulco conference there. And, they're saying just Category 5 made landfall with huge wind speeds, did crazy damage, and A lot of Mexico, older style architecture, so maybe older buildings more susceptible. And if that's the game too, the developers are like, hey, let's come in for pennies on the dollar. Got the keys to the tech. You know, lots of rebuilding opportunity. But here's the thing about the name of this hurricane: Acapulco and Otis. Look at the overlap. Acapulco, all the numbers we're talking about, right? Acapulco's got interesting numbers. But notice the 27 and 45, and look at Otis. 27 and 45. Hurricane Otis smashes Acapulco. What are the odds? And Acapulco, 144.72. You know that August 15th date? I'd bring it up all the time in regards to the fact that the first ever act of admitted weather warfare was August 15th, 1952, on the Jesuit order's birthday. And Flood has that Gematria 52 as well as 25. Here we are on the 25th. And I think Hurricane Otis, put out the full thing, is 83. Again, 83, like Flood is also 83, like in Genesis 8:3, the biblical flood ends. And yeah, it's just, again, you just got to think about things logically, in my opinion. Weather warfare first admitted to on August 15th, 1952, so it doesn't even mean it started then. But let's just say that was the first day that it ever started. It is now over 70 years later. It's over 70 years later. Next year will be the 72nd anniversary. Think about that. But again, the average American doesn't know anything about the history of weather warfare, even though that was the Royal Air Force's admission August 15th, 1952. That's in the United Kingdom. The U.S. first admitted to weather warfare with Operation Popeye in Vietnam. And again, that's the 60s. So that's over 60 years ago. Whatever they could achieve back then, how much more sophisticated could it be now? Again, that's the question. And there's been a number of storms hit in Mexico this month, seemingly worse than normal. Again, it seems like everything in October's 33 year after year. October's 33. Mexico's also got that 33. Mexico and October both 33. If you're watching the headlines, you've probably seen this one right here. Meta has managed to get 33 U.S. states. What they've agreed on is that social media is addictive and dangerous. So, and it'll probably just become more addictive and dangerous as time goes on, but the government will figure out how to regulate it more and more. And again, create the illusion that something's being done to stop it when really there's nothing going on. It's probably making it more purposeful, actually. The government's probably collaborating to make it more addictive and more dangerous. So many things are... It's just like Ralph Nader. If you've ever seen Ralph Nader speak, he'll say that, when I was younger, I helped create a lot of these new departments in the government that were supposed to be watchdogs, but he said all that's ever happened is the foxes have been hired to guard the hen house. So he said my ideas have, been failures. He's honest about that. It's like what our government is. Foxes guarding the hen house. But anyway, just these headlines everywhere. Antony Blinken, at least 33 Americans killed in Israel-Hamas war. 33 states. And I mean, it's just par for the course as well. The name of this officer, speaking of 33, just coming back for a moment. The name of this officer who supposedly did the killing of Eddie Irizarry, Mike Dial, 33, right? So many times we've seen this. Police 33, orders 33, secrecies 33, masonries 33, federals 33, on and on and on. Race wars 33, Rodney King beating on March 3rd, the George Floyd riot started on East 33rd Street, just on and on and on and on. I forgot to make one other point about Hurricane Otis. Again, today leaves 67 days left in the air. We talked about where that fits in with the police officer being brought back in, his charges being brought back. A hurricane brings a lot of water, unless it's the one that goes to Maui that burns the island down, as we covered back in August. And Again, I still have every intention of making it out there. In the days that I wanted to go out there, right afterwards, it was announced that they had it like all locked down and you couldn't see anything anyway. We'll get back out there to speak when the time makes the most sense. Maybe like when they're doing the, have to look into what the rebuilding project is for at least part of the town. Maybe it's sooner than expected. Be good to be there and speak out on a day like that when it's got the nation's eye and people are coming out to see what's going on. But yeah, today does leave 67 days left in the year. Also a water number. Hurricanes very wet. Okay, other headlines. F-16s head to Middle East to help protect troops. The Pentagon announced that a squadron of F-16 fighter Falcon aircraft has arrived in the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility today. The aircraft will work alongside an array of capabilities the Defense Department has sent to the region in recent days to further enhance the ability of U.S. forces to defend themselves. The aircraft movement announced today involves F-16s from the New Jersey Air National Guard's 119th Expeditionary Fighter Squadron. The 119th from New Jersey. And we've always made the point about what seems to be the joke with on 9/11, a date that can be written 11/9, like 119, and realize that that news broke the same day the 119th World Series was set, and the Diamondbacks are in their second World Series ever. The only other time they were in one was right after 9/11. And remember, the Diamondbacks were snakes, and the serpent, the great deceivers, the snake. You got the whole synagogue of Satan story in the Bible. But anyway, New Jersey's 119-47. Look at Star of David. 119-47. Orthodox is also 119. I'm forgetting things right now, but again, this is being sent over there to protect Israel, right? The 119th from New Jersey. After 9/11, they said they arrested Israelis who were celebrating in New Jersey and who were filming the events and who said they were there to document the attacks. 60 Minutes did a story on that. And the way the mainstream media, when they brought it up, they did call them the dancing Israelis. And again, I don't mean that as any kind of slur or anything. I've had a video taken down for using the phrase dancing Israelis. It's like, okay, that's what the news introduced it as when they did cover it. But notice the 144 and 72, right? Just like Jesuit order. And if I didn't say so before, you throw a the in front of it, the United States of America's 99 forwards, like it was named on September 9th, and 144 in reverse. And DC's always been the Jesuit stronghold. And you drop the part, again, United States of America's 84, like the Jesuit order, like the Catholic Church, like Jesuit, again, diplomatic relations with the Vatican since 84. But the 132 is important because the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt May 1st, 1776. And again, from that day to the naming of the country was exactly a span of 132 days. And United States of America is also 132. Revelation 13:2 has to do with the beast. The whole beast code is 47, like this nation's birthday. But again, Roman Catholics 132, Catholic Church is 132, England's 132. Did we really ever get free? I don't think so. And again, you look through the history books, there's a lot of argument that the Catholic Church has been in total control of the UK for a long time. It makes sense why they're using the UK and its might to go down and secure, the biblical lands of Jerusalem, have it under British control until after the wars, and then bring in the new Jewish state to fulfill biblical prophecy, which the New Testament, to be legitimized requires. The motive is there for this manipulation. Again, if you're new here, I'm always showing how in the 16th century the Catholic Church was created. Or not the Catholic Church wasn't created in the 16th century. Excuse me. The Catholic Church created the Jesuit order to counter the Protestant Reformation. And then a few decades after that, you had the calendar named after the Pope, English standardized with the 26-letter alphabet. Everything's synced up ever since then. That's the other 119 I should have put up there on this list. Vatican's also 119. Again, English has Catholic roots. The calendar is Catholic. This knowledge brought back after the Crusades to the Catholic Church. Who's in control of all of these things? Pay attention. There's Jesuits all over the place in high places. And the Jesuits have been warned about again for centuries. They weren't just born overnight. They're way older. They're older than this country. This country was formed in the time of the Jesuit suppression. Anyway, we're speaking of the Jesuits again. 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence. Society of Jesus equals 56, like Washington D.C. Today, Mike Johnson, 56, becomes the 56th Speaker of the House of Representatives. Again, he represents the 4th District of Louisiana. He was the 4th nominee by the Republican Party for Speaker. The 4th book of the Bible's Numbers. His name, Mike Johnson. 52, 56, 133. Government's 52 and 133. And Washington, D.C.'s 56. He's 51 years old. Federal Rome conspiracy, all 51. Think of Area 51. And he gets elected 38 weeks and 2 days after his birthday. The 38 weeks is key because D.C.'s on the 38th parallel. Election equals 38. Whoops, I have a typo here that I need to fix. Energy, English, Gematria, and Kabbalah all equal 38 like election. So does Louisiana. Here, let's just put it in right here. English, energy, Kabbalah, Gematria, all 38. Louisiana, Pentagon, the nation's War Department, on the 38th parallel. And Pentagon, they order death. Death 38, murder 38, killing 38, RIP 38. The Murder by Numbers movie poster. Sandra Bullock and Ryan Gosling both had some murder by numbers rituals recently with people in their lives. The murder by numbers code's the 3-8 in the title, changing the letters to numbers, 3-8. Where we started with the Murder by Numbers song by the Police in 83 and the Eddie Irizarry killing. Okay. And if this is a deadly storm for Acapulco, remember they did code 83 on this storm too. I mean, Category 5. If that's accurate, making landfall at that strong of a speed, I mean, that's deadly. Okay, so yeah, anyway, we will do TFR tonight. Again, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. And, yeah, again, TFR, it's the call-in show, but it's not the first time we've had this conversation, or at least I've tried to bring it up, but I think it's the one that humanity really needs to have, especially at this moment where, again, they're trying to divide people over religion and, of course, race and sexuality and everything else. But the question for tonight's TFR is, what makes your religion so superior? I think a lot of people, if they just try to, like, if they do think that their religion's superior, and a lot of people do, I think if they just talk out loud, they might realize that maybe it doesn't sound as good as it does when they're saying it to themselves in their head. And, yeah, it just gets annoying. I mean, it's like people always leave the comment to me, for example. Zach, I know you don't believe in God, but trust me, God's looking out for you anyway. And the people who leave those comments, they hear when I talk about how I believe there's a creator and a spiritual force. They listen to all that. But the reason that they leave their comment, it's like they know what they're doing. They're flexing their religious superiority. Because they'll all, if you ask them, you say, why would you say that? They'll go, yeah, you claim to believe in a creator, but you don't believe in Jesus, so that shows that you have no relationship or true belief or understanding. And it's like, God, it's like, oh, because my belief isn't the exact same as yours. It's a gross thing to say. And these people just do this all the time, and they wonder why people are killing each other over religion. As a non-religious person, but as a spiritual person, these religious people provoke me. I don't even have a religion to get annoyed over. I just get annoyed over how, arrogant they are and how condescending they are, and how they act so holier than thou, and like they're doing something for you, like trying to help you out, like you're some kind of little peasant who just hasn't figured out their personified Jesus that they believe in. So anyway, for anyone who wants to engage in that conversation, that is what the topic is, and I'm sure the first 5 callers who are there every week will be phoned in having no idea what the topic is and just time out whatever's on their mind. And again, yeah, that's part of the reason after doing this all this years, you guys, it's just like, I'm like, do I need to cut back on certain things I'm doing? So I just, I mean, because it's been a grind for a decade, and it's like after all these years, it's like only the same 5 people want to call in each week who never on topic. But yeah, no, I want people to explain why their religion's so superior. I'd love for a Jewish rabbi who believes in the Talmud to call in. I think it would be awesome. I want to ask some questions back as a goyim. But by the way, part of the reason I wear this hat is my dad, he's remarried to a lady from Mexico City, and she loves this football team, and she probably gave me this hat like 4 or 5 years ago, but when I got it, I thought it was hilarious. I was like, the Goya, huh? I'll wear it. It's fitting. Living in the world where I'm just supposed to be a Goya. Eat Goyum food products from 7-Eleven. So. Anyway. Yeah, it's just like, what makes your religion so superior? Like, how can you say to somebody, like with a straight face, and who knows, maybe these people aren't because they're typing on keyboards. A lot of times it's just comments, but how can you tell someone that they don't really believe in God because they don't know Jesus? Like, according to who? You, the person who disregards the other million religions in the world as if only yours is the absolute truth? The one written in English after, a series of translations? Anyone who's read the Bible in Hebrew and Aramaic says that the English version isn't even comparable. The ancient Greek written New Testament, they say the New Testament in English isn't even comparable. Talk to people who speak these languages and can explain to you why. So the person who believes in the English Bible, which isn't even anywhere near the authentic one, because you believe in that story, you're superior. Look at what I'm showing you every day about who runs this world, the Society of Jesus, and how they love to kill people by a very repetitive code over and over, ritualistically. And a lot of times it's darker complected men, like how in Revelation 1:14 you get the only physical description of Jesus. Revelation 1:14 through 16 describes a darker complected man with hair like wool. I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm presenting that might make you think, like, and again, I'm not trying to get people to not be religious. I think spirituality is important, and I think abiding by the golden rule, treating people the way you want to be treated, being about more than yourself. I think those are like the key spiritual concepts in this world that are hard to master and sometimes hard to do. And it's like in those hard situations where you do it, that's where you're like building spiritual karma and doing something positive for the world. And then when you're not, you're doing the opposite. And I do think that the world came from something. You either believe, I guess, that it came from a big bang and a spark, or some kind of spiritual, mathematical, geometric, genius entity, whatever that is. But yeah, and again, I mean, I don't know why people have to argue over such specific things that were written down by other men when, like, almost everything inside of us, wherever that came from, I'd say from Creator, it guides your behavior and lets you know when you do right and wrong. And I don't think anybody would have a thought about right and wrong about any of these religious stories if it hadn't been ingrained in so many young minds. Because what you learned as a child from a lot of them is you must believe this story or else you're kind of a bad person. There's some kind of spiritual consequence. And that seems highly manipulative. So again, getting people warmed up if you want to call in tonight for TFR. But yeah, I just think the world needs to recognize that there's nothing positive that comes out of religious superiority. And just for the Christian who leaves the comment all the time, and it's not a singular, it's like I talk about it like it's a singular, but it's just like all kinds of Christians leave the same comment because they have this singular mindset. If you're not down with Jesus, then you're essentially bad. You have no real spiritual connection. You're of the devil. I mean, that's kind of the Christian way. If you're not with Jesus, you're essentially of the devil. And again, I met a lot of Christians that are of the devil, for sure. A lot of super dishonest Christians who hide behind their religion and try to use it to achieve things that aren't right. But yeah, if people could just realize that religion doesn't make people superior and everyone has a connection to Creator. Again, I even share stories all the time about how I feel like Creator connects with all of us if we're paying attention, and I share stories from my own life. I just shared the story recently about the crazy thing that happened with Sweet Lady helping out her family for the second time in a short period of time, and then the exact next day, a crazy thing happened to my mom that was like the exact opposite of what she did. If you guys missed that, Sweet Lady got her mom a phone for the first time. She lives in Burma, which is third world, and then the very next day, my mom, and I've always taken care of my mom's cell phone bill, but her phone got chewed up by a dog. And I mean, I've been taking care of her cell phone bill for over a decade. And I've never had to replace her phone. I mean, we've had to upgrade it a few times, but it's never been broken, and it got chewed up by a dog the very next day. And that dog had never chewn up anybody else's phone. It was just like a weird, bizarre thing. So I didn't even share with you guys when that happened. But then what got weirder when I shared the story is a month later, a little more than a month later, Sweet Lady helped her family finance a RAV4 so that they can drive for Uber and Lyft in the city they're in. And the very next day, my mom is at a grocery store, and she's coming out in Portland, which has gotten kind of crazy. We're from Portland, Oregon. But there's a carjacking that happens right in front of my mom of a Asian refugee couple from Nepal, which isn't far from Burma. Sweet Lady came over here as a refugee, like her family member who also came over here. And it was a carjacking of a RAV4. And Sweet Lady just helped them get a RAV4. And then, like, the very next day, my mom witnesses that. And then my mom ended up helping, like, these people call police and insurance and do all that because they were rattled. And I was like, how weird is that? I mean, first the phone thing and now this? Because you got to think about it. I mean, like, the first time she ever got her mom a phone, and I've probably been paying my mom's cell phone bill for a little bit longer than I've known Sweet Lady, which has been well over a decade, too. And just nothing like that had ever happened. And then boom, as soon as she helps out her mom, my mom's phone gets eaten, boom. And like I said, I mean, like, the way I explained it is I feel like this is Creator talking to you about the schism that needs to be healed that you guys haven't done anything about, not enough about. Again, just my mom and Sweet Lady don't get along. So it's like the world's like showing this schism in a crazy way. I'm like, it almost feels important, like it needs to be worked on. And the frustrating thing is, women can be stubborn, and Sweet Lady's like, I've given your mom way too many chances. I'm not giving her any more. I'm like, but don't you think that's it? She does think it's interesting. I was like, well, I think you should think more about what it means. I'm not saying I do know what it means, but again, I mean, people have stories like this. You just can't explain them. They're out of this world. But it's like, it's a sign from whatever the spiritual force is, whatever you believe in, the mathematics of the world. It's trying to tell you something. You can't just say, oh, it's just a random coincidence. It doesn't feel random at all. It's like, how specific and, absurd in a way are these things? So yeah, I get annoyed when, like, I'm a really open person about why I have my spiritual beliefs and how they changed over time and how I grew up Lutheran, and then about when I was age 12, I started to feel like this Jesus thing was for little kids and wasn't quite right. But I never, like, became an atheist and thought, oh, I'm going to go join the Church of Satan like St. Mark Passio. I was like, there's obviously something good and bad in this world, and you can become those things by what you allow to influence you. And I mean, I've always been aware of this stuff, and I never stopped praying, and I don't pray a lot, but I used to pray a lot when I was a child. But when I pray now, I pray like there's some kind of creator that might be. It's like mentalism, right? It's like the Hermetic principle of mentalism. What you put your mind to, when a lot of people put their mind towards something, how it happens. Prayer, mentalism, very similar things. But I guess that's something that could make your spirituality superior. I guess there could be, my question, I don't know if there's a religion that can be superior unless, I guess if the spiritual teachings of the religion were so on point, so knowledgeable, so evidence-based, that it wasn't even like a belief system anymore. It was like, look, when you do this spiritual process, this happens. It's like I have vague ideas of how it works with prayer and mentalism like I'm talking about. There's somebody who could take that to a whole nother level of understanding through more experience. And that person would probably tend to be older too, because they have more experience. But yeah, I just get tired of people acting like, because and here in the U.S., I mean, I've never had a Muslim act like they're superior to me, or I've never had a Jewish person act like they're superior to me because of their religion. Again, the Talmud does state that Jews are superior. So, I mean, there's an element within the religion. But again, how many Jews actually go by the Talmud? Somebody left a long comment about how all Jews go by the Talmud. That's not true. Most Jews are as invested in their spiritual texts as Christians are, which means not at all. And they were just born into families who were Jewish or Muslim or Christian. And it seems like with the younger generation, a lot of people just care less and less about religion. But yeah, those of you guys who just continue on with just like fueling religious divisions. I mean, are you alive right now? If Jesus is so superior, how come Jesus isn't, messaging into your life like, yo, stop. Don't you see what all this religious bickering's doing? Don't you see all the bloodshed and destruction and ruin in the name of religion? And you represent me and you're leaving comments like this? That's the thing, too. I feel like most of these Christians never even picked up the book. What's it say about judging as a Christian? It's all these judgmental Christians. That's why I always say these people aren't even really Christian anyway. But, yeah. One more thing about this Mike Johnson. From the nation's birthday to his age is the 211th day of the nation's age. That's the 47th prime. If you're new here, big number in D.C. Government, authority, Republican, Democrat, White House, president. All those words are 47. Caesar's 47. The letters D.C. with the alphabetic order in reverse are 47. Again, his birthday is the 211th day of the year, the 47th prime. The House Speaker gets the gavel. Gavel's got the gematria 47. Gavel 47. Judge 47. Again, authority 47. Government 47. Republican 47. Democrat 47. White House 47. President 47. Again, Biden in D.C. is senator for 47 years before becoming the elected president. He took office with Obama at age 47. He was the 47th Vice President, Joe Biden. Bill Clinton became president 211 days before his 47th birthday. Again, 211, the 47th prime. So, the interesting thing about him being, again, born on the 211th day of the nation's age. And, of course, the nation's age can be written the 4th day of the 7th month, like 4-7. Again, foundation's 47. The Masons got the 47th problem of Euclid, which relates to foundation. They got the compass set at 47 degrees, and the pole stars where the divider is on the compass, which is 47. So, what do you know? Gematria exposing things about the information and ritualism around us and who's responsible. And again, some things don't seem too harmful. It's like, unless we find out I need to do some actual real research on Mike Johnson and what he's known for. But yeah, anyway. Let me see if there's any more we should say about the Eddie Irizarry story being brought back. There's a number of things that are interesting. I suppose that the always "What is 47" campaign, again, what is 47? This number is so important in news stories and ritualism. And let's see. So from the charges first being brought against him September 8th to today is 47 days later. And notice how the word time is 47 and 25. It's the 25th of the month. Judge is also 47 and 25. Gavel is also 47 and 25. Judges, sentence, time. Rituals, and time. Again, time is 47. News is 47. Again, authorities 47. We can go down that list one more time, but we don't need to. 47 days later, a judge rules that the charges are coming back. And you know, the whole police thing too. Remember, cop is 47 and policeman is also 47, in light of just the whole authority thing. When I was a child, I always wondered where the nickname cop came from. I thought it was interesting because I said, like, you know, like pop would make more sense to me because the word starts with a P. We call it police, so where's cop? Again, you learn gematria, it's like, I see this game that's going on here. It's got the P as the last letter. It's like police in reverse, isn't it? P-O-L-I, dropping the L-I part. P-O-C in reverse. But yeah, just game after game, ritual after ritual. People know so much, but not about the right things. Weather warfare, and that's the thing. That's the thing that's sad. You try to share information with so many people, and they just get so derogatory and mean. And for more of the same numbers, the Queen of Jordan's in the news. Remember, Jordan's been a hot topic. Jim Jordan got voted down. Biden canceled his trip to Jordan the same day Joran Vandersloot admits to the Natalie Holloway killing, but he's already in prison, and there won't be any more of that story. Now we got the Queen of Jordan, and of course we've had Michael Jordan on watch all year because he's 60 right now, and that number's been connected to so many NBA deaths, from Kobe to Daryl Dawkins to Moses Malone. This woman, though, the Queen of Jordan, her name is 54, right? Just like Jesuit order. Just like John Carroll, who founded the first Jesuit university when he was 54 years old. The Jesuit logo is the sun. Sun's 54. But anyhow, this woman, her birthday is August 31st, and she's headline news today 54 days after her birthday, right? So she's 53, meaning she's in her 54th year of life. She'll turn 54 next year. Jordan, of course, right by Israel. And I'm going to go back over my my shaft information. See what I saw with that July 2nd. The name Shaft, too, no doubt has a sexual connotation as well. It's just everything they do. Jokes, layered jokes. Somebody says, have I thought about doing reaction videos to truth channels? What truth channels even exist anymore? It seems like everybody whose name I knew from back when I started, back when you can actually find videos, it seems like everybody's quit and given up. They got tired of getting censored. Who should I do a reaction video for? Jane says, Gematria proves that Yahuwah is in full control. Thank you for your work. I guess I'd have to hear the elaboration on why that is. The one guy, no, that guy's a troll. He is too cowardly to come on and debate. He'll just keep making videos talking about me. I mean, that's all you need to know about a person like that. If they won't come on and debate, but they keep making videos about you, it's just like, okay, well, you should see their game. They know it's easy to sound like they're the man when they don't actually have to debate. All right, well, again, TFR tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. We won't miss it this week. And if you want to join us, you know where to be. And you heard what the topic is for like the person Jane. So, Jane, see, comments like this, though, like here's why you don't win me over. Just this, because no human could time all this. Why not? Like, the rituals that they do are pretty simple. So, we know there's definitely an organic spiritual side to it, but it's just like the stuff that we showed, like the other day, the estimated 201 hostages. It's like, really? Estimated 201, huh? Yeah, and exactly. We're not talking about one person doing this. We're talking about exactly a network. They know not gematria in the way God uses you to give it. It's a calling, Zach, from birth. Yeah, it is Hillary's birthday tomorrow. Somebody says, what happened to the 49ers? Well, the 49ers lost, and that was good for us because we liked the 49ers to lose in that game, and we thought the score would be 23-17. It ended up being 22-17. Part of me wonders if here's how for the troll in the comment, it's like, what happened to the Niners? We were on Minnesota to win. And we saw at the beginning of the week how they could fall to 5-2 and stay on 52 wins on Monday all time in Minnesota, who hosted Super Bowl 52. But look at this. Monday, you guys, was Ignatius Loyola's birthday. There's only one team in the league that equals 201 like Ignatius Loyola. Again, if you're new here, the big number at the Jesuits, why Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope's the first to live in Suite 201. We saw that if the 49ers scored 17 points on Monday Night Football, they would have 201 points scored for the season. And we saw that if the score was 17-23 in favor of the Vikings, the 49ers would be plus 91 in scoring for the year, where Vikings is 91, meaning they've scored 91 more points than their opponent. We were a point off. The score was 22-17, but they did score 17 to land on 201. And again, I mean, you use this knowledge, you can do these things fairly often. And look, here's the 49ers scoring for the year. Points for 201 after playing on October 23rd and losing to the Vikings. So again, when the trolls in the chat going, what happened to the 49ers? The question is, why are you such a pathetic human being? Why aren't you out spreading the gospel of what we did? Calling another game, nice upset, and being a point off on the final score. And again, proving our point about 2-1 in the process. Okay, adios, troll. The notes all week suggested, I mean, these people are just pathetic. All week it said the point about 52. 49ers 5-2 in Super Bowls. 49ers and Minnesota 52 fall to 5-2. What a joke. Yeah. Again, anyone who tells you different is a troll and an agent, and there's a lot of them lurking around, always trying to distort the truth. These people are sick human beings. And think about how pathetic that is, that I always have to be harassed and lurked and trolled, and people just making up shit all the time and spinning the backwards truth. It's just sick. Thank you to the people who do support the work and who come out and we pound payment. I mean, that's the thing that's discouraging, is just there's not enough people in the world, man. So, but yeah, anyone who told you that what I taught is bullshit, that they're a lying fraud. Somebody said that one loser, debate him. He's not going to debate. I've asked him to debate a bunch of times. He says he won't, but then he keeps making videos about me. He says Gematria is bullshit. If Gematria is bullshit, moron, and you know you're watching right now, then how did we call another score dead on this year? How come it's 2-1, just like I've always taught about with the Jesuits? Why the Niners from San Francisco, named after St. Francis of Assisi, the precursor to the Jesuits, founded by Ignatius Loyola, why are they on 201 points after his birthday against the only 2-1 team in the NFL? And I wrote that about the Minnesota Vikings being the only 2-1 team in the NFL. I said, we'll have to watch what they do with that number with the Vikings in the wake of the George Perry Floyd ritual in Minnesota. George Perry Floyd, another big 2-1 ritual brought to you by the Jesuits. Again, I mean, this is why people won't come on and debate, because they're just going to get smoked. How come it just keeps adding up? The only question I have is if we hadn't called out a score of 23-17, would that have been the final score instead of 22-17? There was an extra point that was missed in the game to keep it from being 23-17. And for anyone who thinks that's a joke, you haven't been around. Again, USA Today wrote their hit piece on me in January of 2016. Vice News wrote theirs in the end of 2017. And just all the things that have happened over the years with sports games. People still remember when we did the live stream, MLB postseason. And I talked about the ritual that they could do with Jennings, the Dodgers closer who wore the number 74. And in that example that I did that day, I talked specifically about how important the 74 pattern was. He ended up losing in a 74-33 ritual, which is what we thought he would do. And I think it was Bregman who got the winning hit in that game for the Astros. But I just brought up the example of Tupac and Tupac on the cross and all the 74s. That was like our live stream that day, going over the game on Patreon. And then that night when they brought out Jennings for the Dodgers to close, Joe Buck had to make a point. Here he comes, and they're blasting Tupac tonight. And we're like, what the hell? Everybody in my community was like, I was getting my text message, did you just hear what Joe Buck said? Because I just made a way bigger point ever than just the 74. So that happened, and that was many years ago now. That was the 113th World Series. So that was 6 years ago that happened. And there's been a lot of weird things over the years, but another one was one night I was having these breakthroughs on how important the number 132 was. And it was all coded all over this Monday Night Football game. Then just in the middle of the Monday Night Football game, they bring up this obscure stat about 132, and then they start joking about what a special number is and who knew it was such an amazing number. And people are just like, Zach, are you watching this right now after what just happened in your live stream earlier? And look, I mean, after all these years of exposing how scripted it all is, now you got the NFL's advertising campaign this year as a big joke about the scripters table and the comedian with the players and deciding how to rig the next game. So, even though we haven't really gotten our flowers for doing what we've done for the world, you can see that the tyrants are well aware that it's being exposed. And congrats to all the people who paid for all the money and all the pennant games this year. Road teams went 4-10, 4 wins, 10 losses. In the NLCS and the ALCS in Major League Baseball, 10 losses to 4 wins. And watching devastating home losses to close out series two, just absolutely ripping the souls out of these sports fans, and that's what they do. The manipulation. So, but yeah, also at the same time, I'm going to do a live stream here, possibly as soon as tomorrow, about why this NFL season has been the most frustrating ever to decode. It's again, things have become more challenging as time's gone on because they're aware that we're aware, and it almost seems like this is the year of just like major bait. So I'll do a stream on that as well. But the knowledge is still absolutely worth knowing. It still can be very helpful. Again, Kirk Cousins. Let me show you Kirk Cousins' stats real quick after the 49ers upset. Look at how bad it is, you guys. Or how perfect, I should say, it is. And keep in mind, Kirk Cousins, the 49ers coach, was once his offensive coordinator. And then the 49ers coach, Shanahan, who has the relationship with Cousins. He's from Minnesota, where the loss was. Okay, check this out. So Kirk Cousins got his 76th career win, right? And what was annoying is after I explained it perfectly in the video, the trolls are immediately posting false data and saying my numbers are all wrong and I'm lying, and then that comment has the most likes and the most replies. And then what gets annoying too is it's like, okay, where are the people who support the work? How come like nobody who supports the work like leaves a comment, or do those just not show up? Do only the troll comments show up? But as I explained in the video for Monday Night Football, Kirk Cousins got his 76th win. And here, I want you to see his record with the Vikings. Kirk Cousins' record with Vikings, including playoffs. He got his 50th win with the Vikings and his 76th career win. And historically, when things like this line up, I mean, they're like Lock City, right? Historically. San Francisco 50 and 76, and he did win. And home teams stayed on 50 losses for the year. Anyway, look how perfect that is. 50 and 76. And again, the Niners fell to 5-2 and stayed on 52 wins on Mondays. The thing is, like narratives like this that are very strong, when I say something's a lock, I mean, it's coming through over 80% of the time. It's a very strong narrative. It's very consistent. And historically, that's been true. It's just this year, things that have always been very strong for us, some of them are really hurting us. They're not helping. For example, you see how Houston's 31? Tonight, the Rockets play, and they have a brand new coach who's coached another NBA team, and he's coming in with 31 career losses to coach his first game with Houston. Villanova won the March Madness this year in Houston, winning their 31st game of the season. Texas just beat Houston in college football with 31 points. Last year, I was talking about the death of Takeoff, the rapper from Migos, who was with his 31-year-old uncle, and then they arrested the shooter 31 days later. And I've always talked about Houston in 31. I call it the 31 city. This year in the NFL, there's been 4 rituals so far in Houston games where 31 could have played. And so far this season, it's burned us 3 times. So it's like they're 3-1 against us with the Houston 31 rituals this year. Never seen anything like that. Normally, we'd be like 4-0 at this point. Maybe 3-4, worst case scenario. But we are 1 win and 3 losses in Houston 31 narratives this year. And it's just like, that's why I teach people now who are learning the sports knowledge. This is not as good as it used to be. Learning this knowledge, you can definitely see through the rigging. You can definitely take advantage of things in game time situations. And it's just, you got to be more conservative with it. Way less big bets. There's way less locks. It's more of you got to have more fun with it and be trying to turn a $5 bill into 100. And if you lose the 5, it's not the end of the world. If a $10 bill is $5 to you, whatever. But again, Gematria in sports, it's still there. It's just, like I said, this year, Houston narratives are 1-3. Never seen anything like it. But you can still tell it's still the Houston number. I mean, they're still putting it all over. The coach who's gone to Houston is the one that had to leave, what was it, Milwaukee? Hold on. Udoka. Udoka's the new coach. Here, just so you can see this with your own eyes. Basketball Reference. Go to him for coaches. He's coming in. He coached Boston. That's right. He was with Boston. Then he had the scandal with Boston. But 31 losses in the regular season for his career. New Houston coach. And you just pay attention to stuff, you just see it goes on all the time. But what's not happening all the time this year is winning with Houston 31. And there's just been some tough games this year that, guys in my community, we're through week 7. A lot of veterans by now, they'd usually have hit at least 2 big parlays by now. Maybe if they've been real hot, they've already hit 3 or 4 this year. I have one gentleman in my community who's never had a season like this. He hasn't hit a single parlay this yet. A lot of people have only hit 1. Some people have hit 2, but just as a community, not doing nearly as well this year. And it's been because of things like this. Super reliable number in Detroit is 83. Pete Carroll had a narrative earlier this year. He could have got his 83rd loss in Detroit. Detroit, Michigan equals 83. It's on the 83rd meridian. That same week that it missed in the NFL, it hit 3 different ways with the Detroit Tigers baseball team. Detroit Tigers is also 83. But really great number in Michigan. Burned us 1 week real bad in the NFL. So, yeah, I'll do a stream on that later, too. But, again, because of that, you couldn't be like, oh, so see, Gematria is a total fraud. And it's just like, anyone who's saying that is the fraud. Okay? Period. My worst year is still better than that person's best year. So, and something frustrating in baseball. At the beginning of the year, game 1, we documented a mega ritual they did with the Phillies and the Rangers, and we had a future in from the start of the year after game 1 for a Phillies-Rangers meeting. It looked really promising going into the championship. I did tell people I was pretty concerned about the Diamondbacks winning game 6 because then they had a great narrative to win game 7, and they did. And did you notice the last out was made to number 7, who was the star player in Game 7 with the Carroll last name, who's probably a descendant of John Carroll for the Diamondbacks. But the one other thing that was big about the Diamondbacks is just they've only been in one other World Series right after 9/11. It's the 119th World Series, all the focus on the new 9/11 in Israel, how sports and history repeat. So with the Diamondbacks getting in, I'm not super shocked, but what it was with the Rangers and the Phillies this year is the first game of the season. We're always showing how the Rangers and the Astros are doing rituals with the Bush family. And the first game of the year, it was March 30th. All 30 teams played on the 30th. It was 267 days after George W. Bush's birthday, which is the Philadelphia area code. And the Rangers beat the Phillies. Interleague play to start the year, too, which is kind of rare. AL versus NL. They're shifting it up more in recent years, but that's what stood out about the game, that it was 267 days after Bush's birthday, which is the Philadelphia area code. Area codes are huge in sports. We said they could be cluing us in right here that it's another big Philly year in 2023. Again, Philadelphia equals 223, just like how the Eagles were in the Super Bowl at the start of the year. And, anyway, Texas is there. Texas made it to the World Series, but not Philadelphia. It's Texas and Arizona. Somebody's instant thought was maybe it's about the border wall because they did the whole ritual with Trump and the Berlin Wall on November 9th, 119. I mean, that's possible, but again, that's just what's been tougher, things like that. It's like, seems like in the past when you found a strong narrative like that, they're using an area code like that, your future was good. And we've missed on futures before, and we didn't miss by a lot. We got half of it right. And if you divided it and took the Rangers in the AL and the Phillies in the NL, you still hit on half and came out well ahead. But it would have been really nice if both of them came through and it was close but no cigar, which is the same as nothing. So anyway, TFR tonight. Love to hear from a well-spoken religious person about why their religion is superior. It can be any religion in the world. The ones who I always hear from in the comments are Christians. So, I mean, it is the predominant religion here in the States still. And again, to me, it's like, explain why your religion's superior and what lesson you're not learning about what this whole religious superiority thing does in the world in terms of chaos and division and hatred and killing and war. Like, why do you want to keep fueling energy into something that has all of those accomplishments to say for itself? And again, Christianity, it's a newer religion. There's a lot of religions older than it. Is the world doing really great in the time of Christianity? Because I would think if a religion came in with a spiritual purpose, it should be about bringing something better into the world. Has the world gotten better in the time of Christianity? Now, you could make an argument that when society here in the U.S. was more Christian, it was a lot better than it is right now. That's an argument you can make. Things are pretty bad right now. I've said it before. I'm on the record saying that sometimes I think maybe everyone being in the same homogenous religion, maybe that is good for a society because everyone's just so much on the same page. But you're probably totally controlled. I guess the one way that could actually be a good thing is if it was based in truth and honesty and justice, and the people who were the authorities and the leadership, if they were really looking out for the people. And again, it's just that's a lesson humanity doesn't seem to learn either. You know, it's like when are authorities really looking out for people, and when are they not taking advantage of their authority and benefiting from that in one way or another while we suffer. So anyway, shout out to Rick James and shout out to congrats to the winners. Hit a lick a sports pick. I'll have to look up who that is. So, but yeah, we'll leave it there for now. And TFR tonight. And until next time, Truth Seeker.